Hey guys, I'm just going to share a couple things that happened in my life that formed the way that I view God. So, I was blessed to grow up with great parents who followed God. I went to a Christian school, went to church regularly, so I had a pretty good foundation. And for as long as I can remember, I did believe in God. But in high school, I switched to a public school, and around that time, people my age stopped going to church for a variety of reasons. And I went from only knowing Christians to hardly knowing any. And that just left me feeling pretty alone in my faith. And I went to this massive church, but got lost in the masses. And I stopped seeing how people's lives are any different because they went to church on Sundays. So I started to view that community as hypocritical and apathetic. And it was far easier for me to fill my Sundays with volleyball practices and tournaments than to walk into church just for a morning and feel ostracized. So since I didn't see God's people caring, I began to question if God really cared about me and about the world. So entering college, I was ready to give up on Christian community altogether, and I didn't want to go to church again. I planned on keeping my secret faith between God and I, just as I had been doing. But God was looking out for me and put some Christians on my dorm floor, and between them and some persistent ministry leaders, I just kept getting invited into things as much as I didn't really want to go. But as I got to know them, I found out that they had complicated stories too. And for whatever reason, they were still excited about who God was and about their communities. And ultimately, it really stood out just how much they genuinely cared about people and how their faith changed the way that they lived. So the only opportunity the following summer for me to work in my field in graphic design was to intern at my church, which was the last thing I saw myself doing. But while I was there, I was reminded that people go to church because they recognize that they have a need for God, not because they already perfectly represent love, but they're human and they mess up and sometimes they're confused, and that includes me. But that's what's so amazing about God's love is that He sees all of our imperfections, and He still says, "I want you exactly the way you are, no matter the cost." And in this case, it was death. And a punishment had to be paid for all the times that we mess up. And so He sent His Son to die a gruesome death so that we wouldn't have to. And because He's stronger than death, He rose from the dead and appeared to many witnesses. And all we have to do is want to know Him. And so that said, He cares about us a ton. And if you're someone who's been hurt by Christians for any reason at any time, I just want to sincerely apologize on their behalf, because I believe that God feels the pain that you are feeling. And He's love and He's perfect, even when His people are not. He wants to know you, and He loves you exactly as you are. And surprisingly, there are other people out there with similar stories as you. And I would love to talk to you if you want to know more. So thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. That's mine. What's your story?